So, do I look awkward because I feel really awkward?
No, you're fine.
Okay.
It's just like we're having a chat at the bar.
So hello guys, this is B Stories, and we're here with Dave. He's going to be telling us about his experience as an entrepreneur and where he was and how he came to come here in the university as a lecturer. So Dave, tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, currently I'm Director of Enterprise and Innovation at the School of Management, and I teach on the Entrepreneurship modules, but I've only really been in academia and working for the university for a short amount of time, around about 6 years now.
Okay.
So my background has always been in business, typically sales and marketing roles within organisations. But I'm also an entrepreneur as well. I've set up a number of different businesses myself.
You were talking about one, if I remember. It was electrician.
Yeah. So, give you a bit of context behind that. I left a role in 2007, a sales role, and decided that I was going to get out of sales completely. And I took redundancy, set up my own business as a marketing consultant originally. So that was the first business that I set up, and I went to work then for the Welsh Government, providing support and advice to people who wanted to start their own businesses but didn't really have a clue how to do it.
So there's a question where a lot of students, I think, will be like having a problem with, especially when you're in the beginning of university. How do students become more employable? What's your advice to them?
Okay, so employability is something that I'm really keen on within the school, not just within the business department, but with accounting and finance and economics students as well. But employability is making yourself stand out to potential employers. So just as you would sell a product or a service, what is unique about that product or service? It's what is unique about you as an individual, and how you make yourself unique is giving yourself experiences outside of the traditional lecture, seminar and assessment type of rigmarole that university is all about. So doing placements, doing internships over a longer period of time, and gaining experience through things like final year project, and from an entrepreneurial perspective, the applied entrepreneurial modules that we actually do here at the school.
So there's another question I want to ask you. So imagine a student has a first, but it doesn't really have any experience behind his back.
Mm-hmm.
And this other student got like a 2-1.
Yeah.
However, he has experience behind him.
Yeah.
And you had to choose between two of them to hire. Who would you choose?
It's a difficult question to answer because individuals are involved. However, broadly speaking, a student that had a first compared to one that had a 2-1 with experience, around about 20 years ago, when I graduated from my undergraduate degree, if you had a first, you were virtually guaranteed of walking into a job. It was as simple as that. But nowadays, industry are actually telling the university sector that they don't want a student that just has a theoretical background. They want a student that has had some experience of working in the real world, has done some placements, understands how things work in industry, so that they can hit the ground running. So to answer your question, I would say that a student with a good 2-1 with experience behind them, that can demonstrate that experience, is always going to have an advantage over a student that just has good marks.
So Dave, what kind of lifestyle do you think, what aspects in a lifestyle do you think is important for success?
I think that you can look at this in two separate ways, and it all depends on what your definition of success is.
Are you better working by yourself or like in a team?
It depends on the circumstance. Personally, I have massive challenges as a manager with delegating responsibility to people. I have, and I know a lot of people feel this way as managers as well, that nobody can actually do the job as well as you can do it. So you end up taking on more than you can actually handle, and getting into a mess basically. And management is all about that. Working in a team and being a leader of a team is all about having faith in your team, building the team, developing the individuals within that team, and giving them responsibility and accountability. So I would say that team working is almost certainly the best way forward. How you actually develop that team, and if you are leading that team, how you develop your own leadership style is equally as important.
I feel like you do something similar in the subject you're teaching here in university, applied entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you get students writing your business plan. If the business plan is good, or you think it's viable, or you think it can be a success, you give them some sort of investment, and they can actually start their own business.
Yeah.
So I feel like, how did this start in the university, first of all? Did you have anything to do with this, or?
Yeah, I'm involved with a number of different groups within the UK in terms of enterprise education. So Enterprise Educators UK, I'm also involved with the International Enterprise Educators Programme, and the conference that's attached to that. So in terms of developing enterprise education and what enterprise education is all about, going back to the question that you asked me about employability skills, and this is where the link between enterprise skills and employability skills sort of graze over each other, is that identification of an opportunity is really key, and giving students the opportunity to develop a business idea in the first instance, and then try that business idea for real with funding that is of no risk to them financially, but gives them the opportunity to try that, make the mistakes in a safe environment, learn from those mistakes, learn from those frustrations, and then develop it moving forward, is something that enterprise educators are trying to develop, not just in the UK but globally.
Is there any like business decision you regret? Like either you have done or you haven't done? Something you're like in your head, you're like, why haven't I done it, or why?
I think the big one is not taking the jump of being an entrepreneur myself earlier. So at this point in time, the marketing work I do outside of the university is very little. The electrical work I do is huge, so I still keep that running. Evenings and weekends is when I do the electrical work. But most of my clients for that actually come from the university. So I will advertise through university notice boards and staff forums and whatever. But from my perspective, and I went back and said this earlier with one of your questions about there's no job for life anymore. I can't expect to be here until I retire. It'd be nice if I was, but if something happens and I find myself in need of a change again, then I can always turn on the electrical business, or ramp the electrical business up. So I've got two irons in the fire, if that makes sense.
There's like a little pillow just in case if you fall down.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, if you had to go back in time and give yourself some advice, what would it be?
Probably not to overthink things, not to worry too much, that any mistakes that you make, mistakes are essential to growth. So any mistakes and failures, nothing is irretrievable, that you can always move things forward, you can always recover from a mistake and build on that and be successful. So the advice that I would give to younger self is to take the leap, probably straight out of university, and develop a business idea and get it off the ground.
Right. This is Biz Stories for you guys. Dave and Neil, thank you.